Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. Today is Friday, the 2nd of July, 2021. I am Darkside Phil, also known as DSP for short, and I welcome you all here to the stream. How's it going? I hope that you're all doing well, and I hope that you all are having a good time with the start of the weekend. Depending on where you are, I'm sure it's very different. Depending on if this means that you get some time away from work or school, whether this means that you're heading into a holiday weekend, as for some of us, 4th of July is on Sunday. If you live in the United States, it's a national holiday. How the weather is where you are, because here it's actually gotten much nicer, much cooler, still humid. But man, it's finally getting back to normal, which is a good thing. So welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are ready for a fun, full day of streaming today. Should be a good time. And I hope you guys are ready for good variety today as well. Two completely different kinds of things we're doing. We're starting off today with Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition continuing on, and from the foreseeable future, this game will be played about twice a week, so obviously we'll be making real progress now, which honestly we haven't in like the last 3 weeks. I've only been playing it like once a week, so we're only like 12 hours in or something crazy like that. Finally, to be making good progress, it'll be a good time. I'm excited because I don't really remember the game. And now we're doing a major story mission. I'm like, okay, I kind of remember this. So, yeah, it's good stuff. I'm excited for that. And, of course, later tonight, my weekly throwback Street Fighter session. Who doesn't like old school Street Fighter fun that I do every Friday night, right? Good times today. Good variety of stuff coming up. I have a few news stories to talk about on the pre-stream today as well. So for those of you who like the news, great. If not, well, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but I do have news to talk about today. So ladies and gentlemen, before we even start, let's get to some of the changes that have happened, being that we're in a new month. And I talked about these yesterday, but if maybe you weren't here yesterday, maybe some of you are just coming by today for the first time this week, and you'd like to know what's going on. First of all, you'll notice the membership goal for the month has been reduced from what I tried to hit in June. It is now 200 members. 200 concurrent members, I guess I should say, over the course of July. If we can hit 200 concurrent members at any point during July, we will do a celebratory marathon event. The ideas I have are as follows: an Indies marathon, a Rageathon, a retrospective marathon, or the return of the Mario Classics marathon, where I challenge myself to try to beat stages in Classic Super Mario Brothers, with challenges involved. And it worked out well last time, but we had a channel points system because I was part of the Twitch partner program, and now that's gone. So maybe what I could do is look into trying to find a replacement, or we could just use the current YouTube polls that we've been doing for the Mario Golf playthrough. You guys seem to enjoy voting on if you'll see, oh, will Phil do this within a certain amount of lives? Will he not do it? We can do stuff like that, okay? So those are the four options that I'm weighing and balancing. And likely I'll take your input, whether it's a poll or whatever, if we do hit the membership goal for the month. All right? But I feel that this membership goal is a lot more obtainable. It's less than 100 to go. I mean, it's only about 40 more memberships to go. Hopefully, people will be convinced to try to support the channel and become members this month with all the benefits that you get. And the fact that, you are helping me out concretely. When you do become a member, it's cheaper to become a member here than it ever was to become a sub over on Twitch. You get the same benefits. So please consider becoming a channel member, okay? The other change is you'll notice the tips goal is now $150. It is a 3-tiered rewards tips goal every day on stream. And the way it works is we raise $50 in tips. I'll put on the Gunner glasses. For $100 in tips, you guys choose a vest of your choice of color. And then at $150, I put on the cowboy hat. And it's going to be like that every stream. There's no exceptions. Every stream, that'll be the case, okay? So even if I'm playing a game where I'm wearing the headphones, that's fine. I'll just take them off and either wear them around my neck or put them to the side and put on the cowboy hat if we hit the goal. Reason being, I really need help this month with tips because basically, here's the deal. Last month, June, was the first month that I did full-time streaming on YouTube exclusively. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know how much I was going to make. It was, the first time doing it. Now that the month has ended, I can firmly tell you I did good, but not nearly as good as I used to do on Twitch. And primarily, the major problem is that on Twitch, subscribers would do things such as gift subs to people or use Amazon Prime to become a subscriber. So we're talking hundreds and hundreds of subs that I had on Twitch that I'm not getting as memberships here on YouTube. It's a huge discrepancy. If you actually add it up, it's about $2,000 differential in income. Okay? Now, last month, despite the fact I was making less, it was okay because you guys have been so supportive at that time when I lost my Twitch partnership back a couple months ago. That extra funds and extra funding that you gave me made up for the fact that I wasn't making as much. But now, that's dried up. All that's gone to pay bills or whatever. And now, I have to make enough on a daily basis to get by and pay all my bills. With the $100 tips goals, it wasn't enough. Just being honest, because what was happening was I would hit the tips goal in the daytime. Great. Then on the night stream, I wouldn't. So in one day, I'd make, not even enough to get by to pay the bills for the week. That's not good. So what I need to do is tweak the tips goals to try to make them more appealing to keep contributing once we hit a certain level of goal. What I did notice as a pattern last month was that when we did hit a tips goal, all of a sudden, that was it. People would stop contributing because they felt, that's it. We hit all the reward goals. That's it. Why do I keep going, right? That's why I'm adding added incentive by adding the third reward goal of the cowboy hat. And quite frankly, if we do hit these goals all the time, every day, things will be great. If we don't, if we have a balance where like maybe one day we hit it and then we don't, then it's going to be much tighter and much more difficult. And dependent on how things go in the next couple of weeks, I may or may not have to do something special, like a special fundraising event, in order to make ends meet so I can afford my mortgage and my back taxes payment coming up by around the middle of the month. But obviously, I don't want to go there yet. I want to see how things go in the next week to 2 weeks. If we can keep hitting these tips goals every stream now, things will be much better. All right? So, that's why the tips goal went up a little bit for each stream. That's why we now have 3 rewards in place for tips every stream. Keep in mind, this is the only income I make. I don't have any partnerships. I don't have any sponsorships. I am 100% crowdfunded by you guys. So if you guys like what I do, you like the content, please consider, supporting in any way, becoming a channel member, doing a super chat or a super sticker, or tipping me. Now, the tipping is going to help me in the short term, and I appreciate it. If you do tip me, thank you in advance because that's going to help me pay my bills this month. All right? So, how can you tip? If you look at the description of the stream, you'll find a link, or you can type !tip into the stream chat. Either way, helps me out. Thank you in advance to anyone who does. And hopefully we will hit the goals and, clear sailing for today, right? Okay. Fair enough. Keep in mind, contributions are not mandatory. They're not expected. If you do contribute, I'm so grateful, man, because I know you're going above and beyond. I hear you. There's some people who say, man, I can't contribute. I feel bad. You shouldn't say that. You really shouldn't. Listen, people contribute if they can. I'm so grateful for those who have kept me afloat. This is going to be a year of rebuilding, as I said. Because now I moved from Twitch to YouTube, I knew there was going to be a rebuilding process. It feels like you're lifting your community from going one to the other, and a lot of people don't come with you. A lot of people who used to support with the gifted subs or the, Amazon Prime subs, they're not around anymore. And there's nothing I can do about that. Twitch did it to me for no reason, no good reason. And, quite frankly, what they did was incredibly messed up. Both as a business and just as any kind of a relationship between two effing humans. You know what I mean? To not give a crap and not justify what they did. So, it is what it is. Things are tough, but I will get through them positively. I'll push forward positively. I do have positive feelings for the future that we will build up this YouTube channel again from the ground up. All right? All right. Good. Now, let's talk about the schedule for the week, and then we'll get into the news stories that I want to talk about. Okay? So, schedule for the week. Today, it's Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition, of course. And then tonight, as I said, my weekly Street Fighter stream, which I absolutely love doing. Then tomorrow, on Saturday, July 3rd, Fallout New Vegas continues, which many people have been asking me, when's the next stream? When's the next stream? I know people are really enjoying that throwback playthrough. Tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see how far we get, but maybe we'll finally actually beat the Old World Blues DLC. It's been so effing difficult. Really, on the hardest difficulty, with a crappy build that I'm using, it's been like very challenging. But I think we're getting there. I think we're almost near the end at this point. Okay? Tomorrow night will be Danganronpa V3 continuing on, and we're actually going to be jumping into the fifth, that's right, the fifth chapter of the game. Apparently the game has 6 chapters, so we're heading into the 5th chapter right now, okay? Get the feeling things are really heating up. On Sunday, July 4th, it'll be Independence Day fun. We're going to be playing Mario Golf Super Rush on the first stream and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on the late stream. I mean, would you have it any other way? Of course you're going to play Call of Duty on July 4th. Come on now. Celebrate your independence by shooting people in the face. Would Americans have it any other way? Of course not. By the way, hello Darkness, good morning. Good to see you here. On Monday, July 5th, Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition continues, and there will be a second stream of Danganronpa V3. On Tuesday, July 6th, Fallout New Vegas will continue, and then it will be MLB The Show 21 chill streaming. And then on Wednesday, July 7th, more Mario Golf Super Rush and Call of Duty. I am off from streaming on Thursday of next week. That is my next day off, so that is what, 5 more straight days of streaming. Actually, no, 6, right? Let me hold on. I'm doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, there's 6 more days of streaming, including today. Nice. Good stuff, guys. So I hope this all sounds good to you, and I hope you will be around to chill with me, no matter what I'm playing. But, of course, there's a big variety of stuff all continuing on. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that's all well and good. These are good playthroughs, but when is the new content coming out? When's the new games? Quite frankly, there's not many. This July is one of the slowest gaming Julys in recorded history. It really is a drought, which is the complete opposite of last year. Last year, because of COVID, everything was delayed, and then a bunch of games ended up coming out in the summer. The most notably was Ghost of Tsushima. This year is the complete opposite. There ain't jack diddly going on. The one big release for July is the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword remake. I believe that comes out around the 16th. But outside of that, pretty much nothing. If I would have been able to get an Xbox Series X by the end of this month, I was going to play a Microsoft Flight Simulator for it. But it ain't looking good. Let's just put it that way. I have no funds to eat. I have to pay my bills right now. I have no extra funds for anything. So that means probably a no-go. Unless someone actually steps up and is like, hey, I'm able to actually get you one and donate it by the end of the month. Great. That would be great because I could play Flight Simulator. Next month, there's like 3 games under Game Pass. But if that doesn't happen, then, there's going to be games I'm going to miss out on, and there's not much I could do about it. Okay? Okay. All right. So that's the deal for the week. I hope that sounds good for everybody. Let's see here. Yes, Jasper Kitty's probably chilling on a chill wood dresser. Right now, he's downstairs hanging out with Kat. She was having breakfast as I headed upstairs, and Jasper was with us playing around. I don't know where he is right now. It's actually cooled down, so he's not really needing to be on the wood dressers as much anymore. He lays on that cool wood when he feels overheated. So, Darkness says, I've been watching your playthrough of To the Moon. What a game. We don't get many emotional games these days. Yeah, like, that is one of the few games. It's seriously, like, 16-bit, old-school RPG graphics. But the writing is so well done and so emotional. It grips you and it makes you feel. I cried, man. I bawled my eyes out at the end of it. I was like a baby bawling about losing its rattle, like someone cutting onions. I was crying. Niagara Falls. Hubby Gaming says, how is the weather? The weather is decent. The temperatures have dropped dramatically. Right now it's only 68 degrees outside. The problem is the humidity this week has stuck around. Now, usually we have very low humidity here in Washington. Every day we've been between 65 to like 80% humidity. So even though the temperatures are cooler and we have cloud cover so it's not hot because the sun's not beating down, you still feel uncomfortable. You feel like sticky and yucky. And why do I feel like so drained? It's because there's tons of moisture in the air. So we're now hoping that this will pass and get the hell out of here, because it usually don't have it. Again, this whole heat wave thing in the last week has thrown everything for a loop. 3 days of unprecedented record-breaking heat followed by a week of humidity. Like, ugh, get this out of here. But listen, I would much rather have it like it is now than it was the few days ago when it was 111 degrees. That was insane. Joseph says you should do an online chess stream. Even if you only play for half an hour, people would love it. I'm terrible. I haven't played chess in a million years. I probably wouldn't remember half the rules, to be honest. I would have to find have a refresher on how to play it and what the rules are because it's been so long since I played chess. Not to say that I wouldn't enjoy it because I actually did like chess a lot when I played it. So, Simple Bubble says you're going to do more fun events during the holidays like Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's. I always do Halloween month and I always do Christmas month where I decorate the office for that month and usually have special animations and things that play for those months. And also, I usually hold holiday events for Halloween and Christmas, like near or on those actual days. Thanksgiving, a little harder to do stuff for that. Like, what exactly would I dress? Would I have to get turkeys, stuffed turkeys, maybe a pumpkin or something I could put behind me, I guess, like the Horn of Plenty or something. I've never decorated for Thanksgiving before. Maybe I will this year, but I've never done that before. And New Year's is kind of silly because New Year's, you know, it's really like the first day or two of the year, and then you don't really talk about New Year's anymore. No one does like a New Year's month celebration. Something that people actually said the other day, which I think they were joking, but I actually think it may actually make sense. They said, this year coming up, next year is my 40th birthday, my 40th year on this planet. Scary thought, 40 years of me on this planet. Yikes. That's like, wait, you know, wow. Holy crap, how many people have been negatively affected by that? Right? It's a long time to be. That also means I'm over the hill. It means I'm more than halfway done with my life. And I'm going to die sooner rather than later. And that it's all going to end. This is it. My balls already are nearing sagging down to my kneecaps. They're going to go full-on swing. And, you know, giant bushes of gray, tufty hair are going to shoot out of my ears. My teeth are all going to fall out. All this is going to happen within the next year as I hit 40 years old. So when that happens, people joked about that maybe I should do, I usually do like a birthday week celebration, but actually some people have said that they were sad that this year, the way that things worked out, it was a very short thing. Like I only had my decorations up for like 3 days. It wasn't a long time. They're like, you know, it would have been nicer if you spent money on those. I did. I had helium balloons and everything. Like you spent money on that stuff. It would have been nice to have it up longer. So maybe next year I'll do like a birthday month where the whole month there's just decorations up to celebrate that I've become an old coot. Maybe you know what I could do? I could have my dentures out and put my dentures in a jar floating next to me on the streams. That sounds good, right? That does sound good. Anyway, we'll see next year. I don't know. But I definitely do Halloween. I definitely do Christmas. I don't know if I'll do anything else in between or anything like that. So. Just the facts, ma'am. This is really morose. What do you mean? What do you mean morose? They had to hit me with the defibrillator just to get out of bed this morning. You didn't hear? I'm just joking. Wow. Anyone who takes me seriously now must be like, holy crap, I'm just being silly. Come on, man. Come on. I'm a young, spry individual, don't you know? I woke up this morning at the crack of dawn. I kick-flipped out of bed like The Rock. I was like, whoop! I landed on my feet. I was dancing around. I was full of energies. Full of energy. Exuding out of every orifice. What that means is I went right to the bathroom and used it. That's what it actually means. I got out of bed. I went right to the toilet. Anyway. All right, guys. Let us continue. Let us continue. All right. Let's continue. Stormforce Gamer says, is it a no-go with the Game Pass marathon I suggested last night if we hit the members goal? See, here's the thing, Stormforce Gamer. We could do that too, but to do a Game Pass marathon, we would have to do a setup stream where I go through Game Pass with people and they pick games. Because remember, I have to download all those games to have them work, and some of them could take a while. You know, these games, downloading over the internet could take, you know, half an hour to an hour. So imagine we say, oh, it's Game Pass day. Let's go and pick games. And we pick them, and then we have to wait 4 hours for them to all download. Well, that's a pretty boring marathon, right? If we were going to do something like that, there would have to be like a setup where we have a day where we kind of, you know, set it up ahead of time. Sure, Big Meat, you could call me Twinkle Toes. You can call me whatever you want. Sure. Why not? Okay. Let's talk these news articles that I want to cover today. 3 news stories I'd like to talk about, and then we'll get to shout outs for contributions. Currently, we have 1 contribution to shout out. All right. I actually made a list because I wanted to make sure that I covered all these. So, first of all, there was a story that came out yesterday that actually there's a follow-up to today. And I'd like to talk a little bit about this. So, a story came out yesterday stating that Sony makes it difficult for people to be featured on the PlayStation Store. They charge upwards of $25,000 for a game to be featured on the main page of the PlayStation Store. The funny part about that is, what people didn't say in the initial reporting, but then it was revealed over the course of the last 24 hours, is that it's not just Sony. It's everyone. Every marketplace does that. Steam, Xbox, they all do it. They charge exorbitant amounts of money to get games featured on the main page. It's the article originally that came out made it sound like Sony was the villain and the only one doing this, but it's not true at all. It's actually whatever company has big money to advertise, they buy that advertisement space. This is the same as anything. This is the same as buying advertisement space in a newspaper, a print article, having an ad on a website, having in a retail store. Do you ever wonder when you go to a retail store and all of a sudden there's this big pop-up like cardboard thing with a bunch of product in it? It's like, oh, look at this. Like, why is it sometimes you go to the grocery store and Oreo has a big stand-up thing? Oh, look, buy Oreos. Like, I know what Oreos are. Why do they have this? Because they pay for that. They actually pay that business you're in to highlight their product. That's a paid advertisement there, okay? So you have to understand that this is common for the advertisement industry. This is not something special. But today, a follow-up to that story happened. Apparently, the real news is not the cost of advertising or anything like that on PlayStation Network, but many indie studios, indie game developers have come out and stated publicly they get terrible support from Sony trying to get their games listed on PlayStation Network, or if they have issues with getting their games listed on PlayStation Network, it's like they get no response, they get stonewall, they get the most roundabout response. You know, imagine your game launches today, you put it on PlayStation Network, but for some reason it doesn't work, right? Now you have to wait 2 days to get a response from Sony. Well, that ruins your whole launch window. Who's going to buy the game that doesn't work, right? So this is what the indie game developers are saying. They're like, it's actually a real major pain in the ass to do anything on PlayStation Network Store because they don't really respond to us. It seems like they kind of ignore us because they give all of their efforts to the big wigs, okay? And by all reports, this is correct. If you're a large-scale AAA company developing a game, and you launch on PlayStation Store, they'll give you 100% support no matter what. You need to issue a patch, get that patch out right away. Uh-oh, the game marketplace isn't loading properly for people. Get that working right away, you see? Now, here's the thing. It's the same everywhere. It's like, I swear to God, this is the same. People are like reporting these things again, like anti-Sony. And I'm like, this isn't anti-Sony. This is just anti-business, anti-capitalism is what you're saying. Because here's the truth. Xbox is going to do the same fucking thing. They're not going to not do that. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing with business. And this is the thing we've seen with Twitch. We've seen it with YouTube. We've seen it with everywhere. These businesses will cater towards those who are bigwigs and who are bringing in the biggest popularity, the biggest amount of money and revenue for them. On YouTube right now, all right? Let me give you some perspective. If there's a YouTuber right now who makes millions of views a day and probably brings in, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue for YouTube every month. Do you think if I have an issue or that person has an issue and we both submit a help log, who do you think will be helped first? Right? Like, this is just a common practice. You know, I was in the Twitch partner program and I had a partner manager. They decided to lay off or fire my partner manager and never tell me. So then when I actually needed help, I had no one to go to. Do you really think that the top dogs at Twitch don't have people to talk to? Of course not. It's the same thing. It really is the same situation. It's called, if you make more money for someone, they're going to give you more priority. Okay? Indie studios, sadly, and I hate to say this, really get the short end of the stick. Because imagine if you are an indie studio and you're trying to break out, and you make a great game, an outstanding, groundbreaking game, and it really shines, but you can't get that game to an audience because you try to get it on the marketplace, It won't get featured. You try to get it to work. Oops, it's not working. You can't get a response from Sony or Microsoft or Steam or whoever it is. It's like you worked your ass off for what? Because you can't sell your game and you can't get any kind of exposure for it. That sucks. 100% I agree in this situation. That sucks because that's capitalism. Capitalism says we're going to give preference to those who are already bringing us in the big bucks. The sad fact about that is that's not necessarily the best quality stuff. Take a look at the biggest businesses outdoors today. Fucking McDonald's, right? McDonald's is one of the biggest food chains in the entire world. Why? Take a look at their food. Their food doesn't hold a candle to, I'd argue, 90% of the competition of McDonald's makes better food than McDonald's. But McDonald's still remains one of, if not the biggest food chain on the planet, right? That's stupid. They shouldn't be, but they are. It's like they got big and somehow remained big and kept growing despite the fact that they're not that good. I hate to say it, but in this day and age with game development, it's kind of the same. It seems like these big AAA studios are getting all of the favoritism, all of the attention, when they're not even pumping out good games anymore, right? In the last 5 years, all right, can you name a major game studio who did not miss? Right? Think about it. It'll be tough. You may be, okay, maybe one or two. And I will agree, you'll probably, right now some people might pull out some names and be like, okay, this studio. But for the most part, these major game studios are not in the prominence they used to be anymore. They have been pumping out shovelware. They've been pumping out games made solely to make a buck that don't even work, right? Take a look at some of these terrible fucking games. Do I need to start naming some? Do I really need to name Fallout 76 or Anthem or... just give me 10 seconds here. I'll start getting a laundry fucking list of these games, right? So, that's the thing. You're giving preference, you're giving priority, and you're giving all your attention to studios who aren't even trying, in a lot of cases, as hard as other game studios. I would guarantee you, there are indie studios out there that have more talent and have put more time and attention to detail to putting out great games than some of these big AAA studios. Yet, every game from a AAA studio gets featured. Every game from a AAA studio gets all the attention and gets all the support, and the indie guys get swept under the rug, right? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is the model isn't really working that well. What happens is now we have to seek out and find these good games for ourselves because no one else is going to do it for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. And even when you get a game that is an indie darling that becomes successful, like, for example, Fall Guys or Among Us, it's usually because of a meme. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy for those games when they explode in popularity. I am. These little indie rinky dinks. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's, that guy, went from rags to riches. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's few and far between that happens, and a lot of the times when it happens, it's because of some kind of a viral meme rather than because the game deserved it. That's disappointing. Okay? Yeah, it's a situation that I don't know what the solution is. How do you get indie games to get more prominence, more featured, more time in the sun, more hype behind them when these major game distributors, Sony, Microsoft, Steam, etc., are always going to give prominence to the bigwigs who are paying them more money and or making them more money? I don't know. It really does seem like we have a system built, at least in the United States, we have a business system built to make the rich get richer, and everyone else, regardless of how hard you try, basically gets held back. And I'm not sure how that changes, I wish I did know, but I'm not sure. I'm certainly not a business guru. Maybe this is a question for Warren Buffett or something. I don't know. I don't know who could answer that. How could we fix that, right? See, Snow Carl, now I agree and disagree with you. He says, you're part of it, though. You play no indie games because they're less profitable. I'll agree with you. I am part of it. I play less indie games. But I don't play them because they're less profitable. I don't play them because I don't even know about them. There's so many indie games out there that come out. And again, because they don't get any feature anywhere. How do you even know they exist? How do you even know what they are? How do you know if they're going to be worth your time or your money? I honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I wish I was one of these bigger streamers or content creators where I was making a ridiculous amount of money and I wasn't in debt and I wouldn't have issues. Because if I had unlimited funds, I would absolutely be doing indie days where all we would do is buy random indie games and play them to feature them on stream. Because if you remember back in the day, I used to do the same thing with demo days, where I would go on Xbox Live and pick a bunch of game demos, play them, and just be silly with them, right? That would give those games prominence and feature. Remember that guy who I was playing his games and he got featured and basically made some big money selling his games because I was playing them? I forgot his name. This was the guy that John Rambo later on gave my Ouya to. But I can't remember his name. But that guy, like, literally admitted, he's like, because Phil and Rambo played my games on their videos, I got featured, and because of that, people went and bought my games, and I'm happy about that. You see? No, not Notch. Shut up. It was not Notch. It was that guy who was making those weird, oddball narrative games. I can't remember his name now, because it's been so long. But anyway, yeah, like, if I had, yes, Angus Chang, that's his name, Angus Chang, Hobo X remembered his name, Angus Chang, that was the guy. He made such a weirdo games, but they got, I played him with Rambo, we did co-op commentary, he got featured because of it, and people went and bought his games more, and he came, he basically it was Rambo who would talk to the guy, and the guy was like so grateful. I understand, it's so hard to get featured anywhere if you're an indie developer. So anyway, I wish things were different. I wish that I had the flexibility to go buy indie games endlessly and then play them and say, hey, let's do an indies day or indies event where I just play all indies and we feature them. But circumstances just have not turned out like that. It's like I said, if I can maybe get my hands on an Xbox Series X, then we could do Game Pass days where I'm sure a lot of these indie games may be featured under Game Pass and we could do it that way. But, we're just not there yet. But you see, here's the thing. Here's the real truth of the matter, is that those indie studios cannot afford to be doing giant partnerships, giant paid advertisement campaigns with content creators. So, when you turn on Twitch and you see every content creator for 2 days is playing State of Decay 2, a game that is a piece of donkey shit, really boring, really crappy, not anywhere close to being as good as the first game was. And all of them are basically playing it and kissing the game's butt and acting like it's good because they're all paid shills. And then an indie game that's actually really good can't get any features. You know what's going on, You have to understand that. Seriously, like, it's unfortunate because the big guys have the money and they push all the marketing. That's why I've always 100% been against paid advertisement for these games. Oh, the featured content creator and streamer plays it a week or two early, kisses the game's ass left, right, up, and down, claiming it's great when the game is actually a piece of fucking shit, and then makes people go buy artificially. Artificially, they go buy the game when the game sucks. So now that game makes more sales than it deserves, and the person who's actually making a good game never gets any prominence, That's terrible. I would say this, anyone who's a bigger content creator who takes the time to feature indie games, I applaud that person because indie games need more of a feature. They need more of a highlight. Personally, I can't do that. I'm not in a situation where I can afford to do that, but I know that there are many others who could. Okay, so anyway, that was one story I wanted to talk about. Okay, the next story I want to talk about, NetherRealm has officially announced that their support for Mortal Kombat 11 has ceased. The game as it is will be as it is forever. No more updates, no more quality of life changes, no more DLCs, nothing. It's done. Enjoy it for what it is. They're moving on. And ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I actually have to applaud NetherRealm for. NetherRealm is a game company that realizes that they don't want to milk the shit out of their customers. They want to move on and make other creative projects that are good. They want to be improving at all times. All right? I will give you an example of how to properly do stuff and how not to do stuff. Okay? NetherRealm, basically, here's their formula. Here's what they did. Okay? They put out a game. By the way, John Lemon has become a channel supporter, yet it didn't pop up in the stream chat. That's kind of weird. John Lemon. Thank you, John. I'm going to have to check later and see if that's an actual increase in our count of members or not. But I appreciate that, John. Thank you. Wait a minute. Did it say new member or did it say new subscriber? Did it say new subscriber? Did it say new subscriber? Because that's not even showing up on my queue for YouTube at all. Maybe that was a freaking thing over on Twitch. Oh my god. Anyway. I'm sure that's valid. Anyway. Here's how NetherRealm operates. Okay? They will put out a new game. They will support that game. Tournament-wise, content-wise, balance-wise, online capabilities. You know, they try to tweak the net play for roughly 2 to 2.5 years, okay? Then they shift their focus solely onto another project. And the formula that they've actually used has been very successful. They've been alternating between their two franchises of Mortal Kombat and Injustice. It was Mortal Kombat 9, then 2 years later they had the first Injustice. Then 2 years later they had Mortal Kombat 10. Then I think it was about 3 years later, I think they did take an extra year, it was Mortal Kombat, excuse me, I think it was 2 years later was Injustice 2, and then 3 years later was Mortal Kombat 11. Basically, it was a 2 to 3 year gap between games, okay? But you could tell from the quality of the games that NetherRealm pushes out, they are putting all of their efforts, all of their focus, all their cylinders are on full blast for whatever game they are currently working on, right? Because when their games come out, they've got robust story or adventure modes with tons of content, usually optional challenge modes, whether that would be challenge towers or the crypt like they have in Mortal Kombat or whatever, training modes, tutorials, customizables for the characters. Then on top of that, usually their online play is pretty robust too. They've got multiple modes. It's not just, oh, ranked and player matches. It's, you got lobbies, you got tournaments, you got all this stuff that they do, all integrated into the game, right? When you buy a NetherRealm fighting game and you boot it up for the first time, you know you are playing a finished, polished product, and you know that you're ready to get tons of content out of said product at launch. Not you buy it and you have to wait 6 to 8 months to get your content. You're getting it at launch. You're getting your money's worth on day one. NetherRealm does it right. They do. And I really hope that Ed Boon and the people up at NetherRealm understand that it's much appreciated in a world of game development where we've got all these companies pumping out these half-assed fucking games that are not finished and have no content in them. That when you buy a NetherRealm game at launch, it's much appreciated that we know we're getting quality when we boot the game. Okay? So, that being said, with NetherRealm announcing we're dropping support of Mortal Kombat 11, that likely means that Injustice 3 is within another year or two. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, we're going to get probably Injustice 3. Or there could be another franchise. There are rumors that NetherRealm is taking on other franchise games. And one of them may be a Marvel game, which is interesting because there's never been an adult-themed Marvel fighting game before. So maybe there will be a Marvel game. I don't know. I think they were saying that like Deadpool is involved or something like that. Okay? So that being said, I appreciate that, and I mean that's good news for me. They're dropping support of Mortal Kombat 11. Great, been there, done that. I played it for a while. I liked it at launch. I played it for like a month or two, and then I played a DLC character or two, if I remember correctly, and I got kind of bored with it. Okay, cool. Now I'm excited that they're going to move on to another project. This is the polar opposite of what Capcom has done in the last decade. In the last decade, Capcom puts out a game, and they will take that dead horse and they whip the shit out of it. They won't stop milking that fucking cow. It doesn't matter if they milk the cow so dry that there's dust squirting out of the teats. They keep milking it. They won't stop. The poor cow's udders are swollen and inflamed and red. Leave me alone. No. Pull the udders. Keep going. They won't stop. Street Fighter V came out 5 fucking years ago. Actually, more than 5 years ago, and the beta came out almost 6 years ago. They're still fucking releasing DLC content for this piece of shit. Still. And idiots keep buying it. How do they not understand? How do you not understand that if you continuously support a revenue stream for a company that is not putting effort into innovating, they will never innovate. They will never make a new great game if you keep giving them money for their shovelware crap that they have out now. I just don't understand people. Because there are people who have been complaining about Street Fighter V since day one and they're still buying the DLCs. Shame on you. Listen, if you actually like Street Fighter V, if you played it, if it was your first Street Fighter game and you played it since day one and you like it, I can't blame you. Street Fighter V is accessible. Likely the most accessible Street Fighter game ever created because of the way it was designed. It's simple. Although there are definitely high-level complexities to some of the gameplay, at the base level, it's very simple to learn. There's not a lot complex in the game engine. Quite frankly, it's one of the most simplistic game engines ever. Sadly, that makes it one of the worst, in my opinion. And, you know, I know that there's people out there who've been playing this game for 5 years and like this. I love the game. It's in your power to like it. But you have to understand that from a competitor's perspective, from someone who's been around a very long time playing games, people who play Street Fighter 4 competitively, people who played any of the older Street Fighters, this is the worst one. On paper, this is the worst one. It's not just, oh, in my opinion. If you compare the complexities of the fighting game engines of the previous games, the reactions and reaction times that were available in the previous games, they're just better. They are better games. Street Fighter V has some of the worst gameplay mechanics of any Street Fighter game ever in history. It really is a piece of donkey shit compared to other games. But it's okay if you've never been exposed to the better games and you like Street Fighter V, then I get it. But what really pisses me off is this community, this fighting game community, right? They know Street Fighter V is not great. They said it since launch, but they still play it. They still support it. They buy every piece of DLC. They enter every tournament. They keep streaming it because they're so desperately afraid that if they don't support this game, that Street Fighter will die. That's never going to happen. Street Fighter is going to come back whenever Capcom actually feels like putting effort into it. It's pretty obvious they didn't want to put effort into it, or else this game would have been much better. All the reports when Street Fighter V came out is that it was half-assed, it was rushed. They outsourced a ton of the gameplay work and the netcode work to companies that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And essentially, they have spent 5 years trying to fix the horrendous mistake of this game, which is why Ono no longer works for Capcom. Right? So, seriously, that's why I like NetherRealm. They will support a game for 2-3 years to say, okay, that game is now etched in history. It is what it is. Let's move on to something better. Let's make a game with more improvements, with better gameplay mechanics. Let's do this. Capcom's like, keep milking. Milk. Do we want to put more effort into Street Fighter right now? No, we want to keep making Resident Evil games. Milk. More DLC. These idiots keep fucking buying the DLC. Another year, we still don't know anything about Street Fighter 6. Another fucking year has passed. This is bad. It's really bad. This is unacceptable. I'm just like blown away. I am. It's going to take forever, man. All right. One more news story for today. This one really only applies to the United States, but if you guys live internationally, you may actually be interested in this story. Just listen to this. So, in the United States of America right now, everything is pretty much reopening everywhere. Almost every state has gone to 100% capacity reopenings. The COVID protocols are being pulled back, and basically things are kind of getting back to normal here. Not to say that that'll be permanent, but things are definitely getting back to normal life. All right? But what's happening, and this is absolutely true everywhere that I'm seeing, okay? Everywhere that I'm looking and seeing. Certain industries cannot get people to come work for them anymore. We're talking fast food and or just the restaurant business in general. We're talking retail jobs, okay? Service industry jobs. You know, those very low paying, no healthcare included jobs that our government and the media over the last 10 years have said, oh, job creation's been outstanding in the United States. Our jobs are going up and up and up, and everything's great. In reality, it's the opposite. In reality, what has happened here in the United States is that the quality jobs, the jobs that pay a living wage, the jobs that have health care included for both yourself and your family members, the jobs where you would want to actually stay there and have a career rather than juggle 2-3 shitty jobs you don't care about just to make a buck, those kind of quality jobs have dissipated and almost completely vanished from the United States. What's happened is we've had more and more disposable garbage jobs been imported. Oh, more McDonald's, more fucking, burger flipping, fast food chains, or be a line cook or a waitress at a restaurant who's completely underpaid at what they do and has to rely on things like tips and stuff to make a fucking living. Service industry jobs where you literally get paid the absolute minimum to do what you do, even though you're expected to have some kind of a skill. They pay you as if you're an unskilled laborer. These are the worst jobs. Okay? They are. They're the absolute worst. You can't make a living or have a family and have a life doing these jobs. This is what the United States has created in the last decade, and this is what our government and our news agencies are reporting as great big positive news. If anything, what's happened now, finally, it's been exposed for exactly what it is. Because in the last year, those jobs went away because of COVID. They didn't exist. And people either went on unemployment or they had to go out and seek better jobs that were more reliable and more important, more essential jobs, right? So now here's what's happening. Everything is reopening. Restaurants are reopening to full capacity. Fast food now has indoor dining again. Everything's opening. And the big news story is we can't find employees. There's a labor shortage. But there is no labor shortage. We didn't all suddenly lose all these people. They don't want to work there. They realized during COVID, they don't need those fucking worthless jobs. In America, you should demand more. You should demand to be paid a living wage. You should be demand to get health care. You should get these things if you work a job where you have to bust your ass. And sadly, in America, what they've done, they created this plethora of jobs that they consider unskilled worker. Anyone could do it. Any Joe Schmo could come in and do this job. No education, no talent, no training required. All right? But the problem is it's bullshit. It's actually not. Once you go work these jobs, now you got to bust your fucking ass learning all these job skills, doing all these things to do them. They're not unskilled worker jobs. There's very few true jobs out there that would be considered unskilled worker jobs, but we have a whole industry that categorize themselves as that to justify underpaying employees. And now what's happening is those industries are starting to crumble because no one wants to work for them anymore. Yeah. So it's interesting to me when I'm driving down the street in every fucking restaurant, every chain restaurant, help wanted, line cooks, waitresses, everything needed. Yeah, because no one wants to work for you because you pay like $5 an hour and act like people are supposed to live off of tips. You're a fucking idiot. How about you cut the shit and you actually start paying people a reasonable wage? Then you'll get quality employees. But they don't do that. All right? They just don't. So that's the funny thing about things right now is I almost feel like in the next year when these restaurants and these service industry jobs can't get employees anymore, you know what they're going to have to do? Change their business models. Instead of making money hand over fist and putting that money into the shareholders and into the fucking rich-ass bigwigs and CEOs who are in charge of these companies, they're actually going to have to reinvest in the fucking companies to pay more money to get quality employees, or else they're going to go out of business. You can't operate a restaurant with 5 people in it. You got to have people seating people raiding the tables, people cleaning the place, people cooking, people running everything behind the scene. You can't have a skeleton crew in every one of these businesses. It's not going to work. So, if anything, this is a good thing. This is a system shock to the American business world. People are not going to put up with being mistreated anymore, with being underpaid and not valued as employees. In a lot of ways, that whole industry, that whole service industry, restaurant industry, fast food, retail, it's all been considered disposable employees. At any moment, we can drop you because there's a line behind you of people who want your job. But that's not the case anymore. Now no one wants those jobs. So because of that, they're going to desperately be trying to seek not only people who they can hire, but people who they can retain, because the moment that someone quits, they're fucked. You see? So I'm curious to see what will happen. Here's this interesting thing, okay? Previously, you guys may not know this because you probably haven't been around as long as I have. When I was a kid in the 80s, if you went into a department store, so let's Sears, you guys know Sears or Macy's or J.C. Penney, you guys know any of those names, those department stores? You would think maybe Macy's you guys would know, right? When you used to go into a department store in the 1980s, the people who worked there were dressed up professionally in suits, in nice fancy work attire clothing. They looked like they were there to do professional work for you that day. They would greet you, "Sir or madam, how are you today? How can I help you? What are you coming into our store for? I would like to guide you to the department where you can peruse the goods you're looking for. And by the way, if you have any questions about anything in this store, I am your personal person to come find. I'm here to help you. That from the time you step in the door to the time you step out, I want a smile on your face." Okay? People who worked those jobs were knowledgeable. Let's say, for example, you were going to Macy's and you needed to get, I don't know, a shirt and a tie because you were going to a business dinner. A guy would come up to you and he would measure you and he would get you exactly what you needed. You would walk out of there. I mean, yeah, you'd probably pay a premium price because you went into a department store, but you'd be walking out of there with a quality product that is exactly what you wanted. And you're going to be a satisfied customer. Okay? Now, the reason that they used to do that level of service is because they paid the fucking employees. The employees back then were actually paid on a commission basis, and the commission was very good. So, I think I talked about this story once. There was an electronics store that used to exist, and I think they were called Nobody Beats the Wiz. All right? And I knew someone from the days of being in arcades. Okay? Playing Street Fighter. This was a guy who I knew from playing Street Fighter games. He was much older than me. One day we went into Nobody Beats the Wiz with my family. We were looking for a stereo system for the house because ours was very old and broke. And the kid who I knew from the arcades worked there. And my dad knew him. And we spent about an hour listening to different systems, finding the right one. My dad bought the whole thing. You know, he bought the thing that played the cassettes because this is the 1980s. He bought the one that played the cassettes and also played records. He bought the speakers. He bought the whole set there, and he bought the extended warranty. And basically, the kid who I knew, at the end of the sale, he took him aside, all right? And he said, "I just want to let you know, Mr. Burnell, you really helped me out today because this is commission-based. Like, I'm going to make a lot of money on what you just made and what you bought, and I want to tell you how appreciative I am because this is outstanding. Like, this is going to help me out so much." And my dad's like, "Dude, you did a great job. Of course I'm happy that you're making good money here. And by the way, I'm going to probably come back and buy more stuff from you as well in the future." That's how it used to be when you went to retail stores. The employees were knowledgeable. The employees knew everything about what you needed so that you could get what you wanted. Even though you might spend a little more, it wasn't a discount product. You were getting exactly what you needed for that transaction. You went home happy as a customer, and the employee was ecstatic because the employee was making good money on the work that they were doing. Can you have a different upside-down system than today? Today, you walk into any store, no one knows shit. You're lucky if you can even find a fucking employee anywhere in the store. When you find one, they're completely overworked, frazzled. They don't know shit about anything because no one trained them on anything. By the way, that employee is making minimum wage hourly. They don't have health care. They have nothing. Why? Because the shareholders need to be paid. So underpay everyone, undercut everything. So the lowest quality goods possible for the highest prices, and then underpay our employees, and we reap all the profits. That's how it's become. That's seriously how America has become. And it's just insane that this is where our whole job, all the jobs have gone in America. There's no quality shit anymore. So when I hear a story like this and I read it, I'm like, good. I'm glad that these shit-ass, low-level, garbage jobs that no one can make a living on are being hurt. No one wants them because no one should have them. They shouldn't exist. Jobs should be something that you want to work because not only are you making a living, but you're building a career, something that you can raise a family on. Not, I have to work 3 jobs just to pay rent this month. So I work 10 hours at this job, 15 hours at this job, 15 hours at this job. I have no health care because, no job offers it. So now I have to take out of the little bit of money that I make at each job, every month I have to pay $400 out of my pocket to get health insurance. So there goes half of my money every month. Like, what kind of life is this? This is what needs to change. I know it's not a socialist arc, Joseph. It's called being reasonable. It's called actually having a country that's not controlled by this upper crust echelon of fucking people who run everything and subjugate everyone else under them. Because that's all those jobs are. Those jobs are straight up subjugation jobs. Under the foot of the rich, crush you fucking down, pay you as little as possible because we know you're desperate for jobs. Well, now people aren't anymore. People are like, we found out life can be better. We don't need your garbage anymore. We demand more. So now these rich fuckers are going to have to fucking panic because no one's going to work at their fucking shitty places anymore. That's good news. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's do shout outs. We don't have many. We started with Snowcrawl to the $1.30 and said, wondering why you chose to punish us by canceling a marathon. There was no punishment and no canceling of a marathon. And if you talk like that again, I'm going to be very upset with you. Then he tipped me another $1.30 again. He said, I've been trying to tell you about this. You spoke about how important being on time during a fighting game community tournament was. You developed a habit of being late for the stream. I haven't been late once for the streams. So you're full of shit again. Snowcrawl, you're just trying to stir the pot. And I'm not going to put up with your bullshit today. I'm really not. I'm getting tired of it now. Every day with this little shit. It's time to fucking stop. Alright? Team Michael Gamer tipped me $1.30. Says, if you had to choose between AAA games going for $100 and being content complete at launch, or going for $60, $70 with DLC drip fed for years, which would you pick? See, here's the thing. It's all about getting value for what you pay. That's really what it is. And the problem right now is we don't have equivalency to value anymore. We don't. What we have is everyone pays the same amount for the same game, but some people, not some people, let's try this again. Some games, you get quality. Some games, you get unfinished shit. Some games, you get 10 hours. Some games, you get 40 hours. Sometimes it's 40 hours of great content. Sometimes it's 40 hours of repetitive, grindy bullshit. See, the games aren't equivalent, yet they're all charging the same. That's a major problem. You're not choosing to pay for the amount of value you get, and that's not good. Think of it this way. When you go to a restaurant, right? Sometimes a restaurant will offer you a half portion or a full portion, right? You could go to a restaurant and say you get a half portion of food for this amount or the full portion for this amount, right? And that's good. That's options, and the pricing is adjusted equivalently to what you're getting, right? We don't get that in the games industry. It's just you pay the same. Some games give you this little, some games give you a lot. Some games give you quality, some games give you crap. That's not good. If you had the choice to choose, you pay $50 and you get the game, but it's only a 20-hour long game. You spend $70. Oh, well, now it's a 30-hour long game, adding in an additional 10 hours of side content that's meaningful. Or you pay $100. Okay, that's the deluxe edition. That one not only comes with the base game that's 20 hours, the side content that's 30 hours, but now you also get expansion DLC, right? That has all robust extra story content and a whole new gameplay element for $100. We don't get those options. It would be nice if we did. Because I think a lot of people who want quality would actually pay more for that quality. Instead of, buy it at launch, oh, it's a piece of donkey shit. Wow, I wasted my money and time on this thing, right? So, yeah, in my opinion, I wish we had options. I wish I would. If I was proven to know this game will be AAA quality, great visuals, excellent story, beautiful mocap, great dialogue, everything, gameplay elements, really smooth, feels great, variety of stuff you do in the games, not just the same thing over and over, doesn't feel grinding repetitive. That game's $100. Versus, it's a standard Ubisoft open world game where 50% of the game you don't care about because it's just repetitive shit that doesn't matter, right? That game's $70. Or, okay, it's a core game, it's only about 10 to 15 hours long, but it's a 10 to 15 hour really good thrill ride, $50. I would buy the $50 game and the $100 game and skip the $70 game. I would. And I wish that we had those options. I really do. I really wish that we had those options. But we don't. Right, T. Michael Gamer just he made the perfect case. He says Returnal. It's a $20 to $30 game for $70. Returnal, right? Returnal has 15 genuine hours of content. All right, if you're good at the game, it probably has about 8 hours of content, but it takes about 20 to 30 hours to beat, and they charge you $70 for it. What is that shit? That game is not a $70 game. There should be options. You see, we don't have that. We're as consumers, we're getting jerked around and being told a game is a game. It's all equivalent. No, not even close. In 2021, that cannot be said or argued. No way you could tell me Returnal is the same as God of War, is the same as Microsoft Flight Simulator, is the same as, you know, they're all the same price. What are you talking about? They're so different. They're not even close to being equivalent levels of gameplay experience or amount of gameplay. And you're going to tell me they're all worth the same amount? You're out of your mind. I would play more. I mean, absolutely, I would pay more if I were guaranteed a good game experience. I would pay more rather than gamble on the $70 stinkers. And I hate to say it, I'm still upset at games like Returnal, where, I'm sorry, again, I'll say it. If Returnal was not a PlayStation 5 exclusive, it would not have had its butt kissed by the media like it fucking did, and you wouldn't have fucking people fanboying over it. Instead, it would have been like, nah, it's just okay. But because it was a Sony exclusive, people kissed its fucking ass. Unjustly. That game does not deserve the amount of praise it's gotten. It is nothing revolutionary at all. There's nothing groundbreaking in Returnal. Tell me one thing original it did. Seriously. Tell me one fucking thing original it actually does. Besides maybe the graphics. Which, okay, next-gen system does graphics well. Right? It just kills me. That game is so highly regarded as an amazing game that changed everything. What the fuck are you talking about? And I hate that games journalism does that, because then when they kiss a game's butt, everyone else follows suit and says it's great. On what grounds exactly can you make that statement? Because I haven't seen anyone justify those statements that the game is so good. If that's on people's Game of the Year list, boy, you people have fucking weird ass taste compared to someone like me who's been around the block and played so many games. I can't believe people can be fooled and think that a game like that is Game of the Year material. Like, holy fuck. I don't know, man. Timbo Slice has tipped me $1.30. He says, so One Up Arcade, who makes tons of great retro arcade machines for home, put out pre-orders for Street Fighter 2 arcade machine that comes with all Street Fighter 2 games for $600. How cool would it be to own that? No, it wouldn't be cool at all. I don't want an arcade machine. Those days are long past me. There were times when I thought I wanted an arcade machine in my place, and I would have my friends and or fellow competitors come over and play with me. It would be a great way to, you know, get myself exposed to gameplay styles and things that I wasn't familiar with in Super Turbo, and yada, yada, yada. And then Howard had that at his place, and the funny part about it was, Howard having that at his place, I kind of saw exactly why I wouldn't want it. It took up a whole room. That room heated up whenever that cabinet was on, because, you know, you were talking old true TV style and everything, you know, inside of there. Essentially, it just, for me, that's like when I was younger and I was having these weird aspirations to be, I want to be a high-level pro competitive player and all of that. Of course, yeah, I want my own cabinet. I want to practice all the time. I want my friends over to play. And then I get older and I grow out of it. I don't really care about it anymore, you know? Like, now I don't want that. I don't want an arcade machine in my fucking house. Fuck no. I want my games to stay in this room. Seriously, I want my video games to stay in this room. Right? And the thing is, that cabinet isn't internet-based. I don't want people coming to my fucking house to play. Play me over the internet. Stay out. You know? I don't, you know, again, at one point, I thought this was so neat. I bought all these collectibles and statues and shit. I am so past that stage of my life. I don't care about any of that. I like video games. I'll play old school Street Fighter. I just don't want a fucking giant cabinet in my fucking house. You know? Yeah, but I did see this, Timbo. There's two. They're doing Street Fighter, but they're also doing Ninja Turtles in Time. And I think it has both the original Ninja Turtles arcade game and then the Turtles in Time, the sequel. And that's the 4-player cabinet, and that one's like $700 or something crazy because it's a bigger cabinet. See, I don't know. Like I've seen some of these arcade machines, and they're not good. They're like tiny. They make them look like they're big, full size. They're not at all. They're like very small compared to the originals. So if this Street Fighter cabinet is a full-sized Street Fighter cabinet for $600, then I'd be, yeah, that's about right actually. If you take a look at the cost that it used to be for a Street Fighter cabinet, on average, the cabinet itself would be a new one. We're talking, not a used. To get a new cabinet, they actually used to be run around $500 to $1,000 back in the day, because that's the tube TV that was inside of it, plus all those wiring electronics, speaker system, plus the whole rig of the joysticks, the buttons, and all the wood, framing and everything, was between $500 to $1,000 dependent on the game, because some games had giant cabinets and some games had more reasonably smaller sized ones. That's actually pretty dead on with the value of what it should be. So now, if it has every version of Street Fighter 2 in it, that's great. That's great. And you'll be able to switch between them on the fly. That's really good idea. You do the history of Street Fighter, right? Play all 5 games. Although admittedly, no one really plays Champion Edition or Super Street Fighter anymore. People only play like the first one, the Hyper Fighting, and then Super Turbo. The other 2 kind of suck. Then again, really, the original Street Fighter 2 really sucks too. It's unbalanced as shit. It really wasn't until Hyper Fighting that it became more competitive of a game, so. Okay. Sam, Timmy, $1.30 says, don't talk politics. You sit in pajamas talking about free money while exploiting vulnerable people. I'm a disgrace and an obnoxious, toxic pig. Sam, thank you very much. I appreciate that dollar, because you were stupid enough to send that dollar to me to say that. I mean, I felt like I should read your whole comment because you're so dumb. Like, really. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard on my stream. So I appreciate that very much. And thanks for wasting everyone's time. Jad F did a $4.20 tip. That is actually the biggest tip so far today, which is awesome. Thank you, Jad F. Let's see what he had to say here. What about Ratchet and Clank? With all the repetition you experience, would you justify a $70, $80, or £80 or €80 price tag? I got platinum in only 15 hours. See, I would argue Ratchet and Clank is a subjective situation, and here's why. Some people will say, well, oh my god, that's best-in-class graphics. Like, I've never seen ray tracing like that before on a console. I've never seen the SSD be implemented in such a way on a console that you could jump between the dimensions so quickly, right? Another person would say, all right, well, yeah, I saw the gimmick, I thought it was good, but then when I got down to the meat of the gameplay, really, did you do any gameplay in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart that you hadn't done in previous Ratchet and Clanks? Well, let's see, you have rocket boots, which is kind of like riding rails, or have hoverboards and things like that. Riding a bug, okay, you've done stuff like that before. Shooting things a million times with a bunch of variety of weapons, you've done that before. Really, when it gets down to innovation, there were a couple stages that were a little unique and I liked, but a lot of the stages kind of did feel like the same, and especially because the enemy variety definitely left something to be desired. When you kill your 1,000th repetitive robot that you've killed, or your 12th mini-boss, that's the same exact fucking mini-boss you've been fighting throughout the entire game. Yeah, definitely you could say, okay, maybe this game ain't all it's cracked up to be. I definitely think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart had highs and had things that definitely were like, okay, this is cool, it's on PS5 because I can see this for the first time. But sadly, that wasn't represented throughout the entirety of the game, and a lot of the gameplay just became kind of trite and repetitive by the end. So, that's really a subjective question. I don't know if you can really have an objective answer on it, because it definitely innovated in certain ways, but those ways are pretty much graphical and or hard drive related. If you're blown away by technical marvels enough that you think the game's worth $70, then great. But for a lot of people who are looking for gameplay, I don't think that the gameplay there was top notch in any way. I think the gameplay was what was lacking with the game. The story was okay, wasn't great, wasn't bad. You could tell they put a lot of effort into the production values, but then the game had some bugs too. It was kind of a weird mix, because it's like, damn, this is like a game that's AAA polished, and all of a sudden you hit a crystal and the world doesn't load. Well, what the hell just happened? Weird. But I don't think that's as bad. Like Returnal, 100%, I have to say, I can't imagine that game being justified as being worth $70. Ratchet and Clank, some people could probably justify it as being worth $70. So, Okay. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone pretty long here. Holy shit, I didn't realize how long this pre-stream was. What is going on today? We got other shout-outs to do over here. Let's see here. So, yeah, it says John Lennon became an Ultra supporter. Wow, John Lennon, thank you. I don't know why it didn't show up on anything here. So weird. Thank you, John Lennon, for being an Ultra supporter. I'm going to count that as a new supporter. I'll have to double check our supporter later, our supporter numbers later. Thank you so much for being an Ultra supporter. That's the biggest category of help, and I really do appreciate that, John. Just the Facts, ma'am, did a $2 super chat. Said, top of the morning to you, Phil. Have a good one. Thank you very much, Just the Facts, ma'am. I appreciate that. Puzzle Boss also did a super chat. Said, why are you enamored with Microsoft Flight Sim? I feel like that game would just be like a really chill, interactive game for us. I do. I feel like we could fly over areas and just enjoy the scenery and the view, right? And just talk and chill. Kind of like with MLB, where I don't really care about the gameplay. I just kind of, swing at the baseballs or whatever, and I talk with you guys constantly. That's all I really care about. That's kind of how I feel that game would be. It would be a nice, chill night stream where we can maybe see Oh, go to Paris. Okay. Fly through Paris, see all the buildings and everything in Paris while we chat it up and maybe we talk about, Europe and stuff. That's what I feel like. It would be a pretty good game for that. I'm not saying that it's going to be forever a game that I'm going to play and make sense, but I think it would be pretty good. Oh, yeah, Janovic keeps saying, I got no pop-up as well. Might be broken. You got no pop-up for your tip? Really? What is going on here, then? YouTube pop-ups are enabled. Streamlabs tips are enabled. That doesn't even make sense because the pop-ups for tips and YouTube are completely separate. Two different businesses. They're actually two different businesses. So how the hell could that be? Some weird's going on, obviously. All right, this one just worked. Anyway, Snow Carl did a super chat. So Vegan Gains said he's up for a collab. Well, again, I don't know anything really about Vegan Gains. I don't know what kind of collab you're talking about. If anyone is ever interested in that, you can always contact me behind the scenes. You could, DM me on Twitter. You can email me at darksidefiller@hotmail.com. We can chat it out and see, if it's viable. Not something I'm going to just talk about publicly because there's no way we're going to figure anything out that way anyway. Chase Hansen, the $2 super chat says, do you think I'll ever get over paranoia? In reality, I don't have paranoia. In reality, I have a very healthy mindset in regards to things. The problem is people just keep involving me in their own bullshit, Like yesterday, I had to actually put out a tweet about, hey guys, just so you know, you're not allowed at my house. You're not invited to my house. You cannot show up uninvited. I don't want that. I live in a private community where if you step foot on the street, it's a private road, and if you're here uninvited, you're breaking the law even stepping here. And if anyone sees you here and you're not invited, they're just going to call the cops on you because we've had prowlers and issues over the last year with people kind of trying to break in. So don't do it. That's really stupid. I can't believe I had to post that up on Twitter, but we got legit people out here doing stupid shit, saying dumb things on the internet to try to get a rise out of dumb people. And so sometimes you have to make public statements like that. That's not paranoia. That's direct response to someone being an idiot and trying to bring me into their drama crap. And I have none of it, okay? I don't care about that shit. I'm here to stream games and have fun with my audience on a daily basis. I'm not going to get pulled into other people's nonsensical drama. So if I have to lay down the law and just let people know how it is, there you go. Okay? It's that simple. I'm not paranoid. I'm responding directly to people doing stupid shit with my name in their mouth. There's a big difference. Okay. So we got through all the super chats. Jad F said that he didn't get a pop-up. Hold on a second. Yes, wait a minute. I swear I saw one. I swear, Jad F, I swear I saw a pop-up when you did your tip. I saw the $4.20 pop-up. Because that's how I knew that a tip had come in, because the other tips didn't get it because they were only $1. But yours was $4.20, so I saw the $4.20 pop-up. I saw it myself, so maybe you just missed it. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, let's take a brief break. It's not going to be a long one. Let's take a brief break. I'll be right back, and we're going to jump back into Fallout. I almost said Fallout New Vegas. That's incorrect. Today we're doing Mass Effect 3. Yeah, just give me a few minutes here. I'm going to use the restroom quick, all right? I recommend you grab a drink or a snack, use the restroom yourself, whatever you like to do. And when I'm back shortly, we begin with Mass Effect 3, continuing on. We're in the middle of a story mission, actually. By the way, thank you. Team Ico Gamer just did a super chat, says, I'll be back. So actually, let's get Team Ico Gamer on here as the last super chatter, because indeed he is. All right, guys, I'll be right back. See you in a few.